solve the problem of increasing the turning force of these small electric motors by using a pair of pulleys, a small pulley on the motor turning a larger pulley on the driven axle. And by doing that, we decrease the speed output, but we increase the turning force. Another way of doing that is to use gears like this, and we could have a small gear on the motor connected to a larger gear on the driven axle. But unfortunately, with just one pair of gears like this, you don't get enough difference in the speed and enough increase in the turning force. You'd need to use two pairs of gears really. But there is another kind of gear where you don't have to go to that trouble. It's called a worm gear. This is a worm gear. It's like a spiral, and this is fitted to the motor, and it meshes with a spur gear like that. And just with that one pair of gears, it will slow the speed down dramatically and turn that driven axle with much more force. So here's how to make a gear-driven electric car. First thing we're going to do, we'll just clear some space here, is we're going to make the chassis out of 3mm Corex. It has to be 3mm, not 4mm, because you need to make sure that those two gears are correctly spaced. They can't be too close, they can't be too far apart. And we're going to put some square section wood, in this case it's 8mm by 8mm, all the way round the piece of Corex like this. The size isn't very important, don't make it too big. This piece of Corex is approximately 20 centimetres by 12 centimetres. So I'm going to use a glue gun to stick these bits of wood on. There we go. If I was beginning with a glue gun, I'd put the glue on the Corex rather than on the wood like this. That would be safer. But I think I've learnt to be careful enough. There we are. This is a low melt glue gun. It melts the glue at 100 degrees centigrade. And there we are, there's our chassis well on the way. We're now going to cut a slot out of here because the gear has to be in the middle of the chassis and it has to stick out the other side. So I'm going to use a craft knife, and the slot needs to be approximately 6 centimetres deep and about 15 centimetres wide. And we'll try and get it in the middle. I think I'm just going to judge it. You could obviously measure it. I think something like that should be alright. There. And then across like that. That kind of come out almost. And I think we've just got to cut across the end there. And just poke that out. So that you've got a slot in your chassis. I'm now going to start to assemble the wheels. We're going to run the wheels in plastic jumbo straw, and we're going to be using 4mm axle. So the first thing we'll do is the undriven axle, the axle that doesn't have a gear on it. Just lay the straw across here, and I'm going to glue it down. Try and get it straight so that your vehicle moves in a straight line. Just 2 blobs of glue there, and stick the straw down. And to make it a little bit more robust, I always, if I can, loop some glue over the straw so that it's really securely fixed in place. There we are. Now, to reduce friction, I'm going to cut this straw back. I always leave a bit sticking out,